Welcome to another episode of the Inappropriate Growth Podcast, where we delve into the stories of those who take the road less traveled to build their dreams. Today, I'm excited to have not one, but two remarkable guests who are carving out their own paths right here in the heart of Louisiana. First up is Rudasill, a true son of Lafayette. He's taken his passion for the unique culture and spirit of Louisiana and turned it into a thriving business. At just 30 years old, Reed, a civil engineering graduate, is the owner of Experience Louisiana, a property management company that offers one-of-a-kind short-term rentals across the state. He's also the mind behind Wanderlust Rentals, further cementing his mark in the hospitality industry. Joining Reed is Kris, another Lafayette native, whose journey has been grounded in the local community. At 35, Kris has spent 16 years as an electrician, building homes and contributing to the growth of Acadiana. Literally. His hands-on experience led him to establish Turnkey Home Care, a home service provider that emphasizes a proactive approach to maintenance. Kris, who's recently engaged, is also a co-owner with his cousin Reed of Wanderlust Rentals. Together, these two embody the entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to community that are the hallmarks of the Inappropriate Growth Podcast. So let's get ready to hear their stories of innovation, dedication, and of course, a little bit of inappropriate growth. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let's get started. Welcome to Inappropriate Growth, the podcast where we get real about the grind behind the glory. I'm Paul, your host, and I'm here to take you on a journey through the untold stories of business triumphs. We might raise some eyebrows, but it's all about the hustle and we don't fit the mold. Here we're talking about the kind of effort that doesn't just push the envelope, it shreds it to pieces. We're building a community where the norm is to defy norms. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into the beginnings that were anything but humble. The times when giving up seemed like the only option. We'll also dig into all of those wild, insane, and out-of-the-box strategies that led to massive growth. From growth hacks to best practices, this podcast will be fast, furious, and should be a whole lot of fun. Join us as we redefine what it means to grow and turn business growth into an art form. Welcome to Inappropriate Growth. Welcome, everybody, to the Inappropriate Growth Podcast. I'm very excited today. I've got the two guys, Kris, Guidry, and Reed, Rudasill. I hope I'm saying that right, Reed.
Perfect. Actually, right on the money.
Well, that's it. I shouldn't have even questioned it. They have Wanderlust Rentals. And just to get started, why don't you tell our audience where you guys are, how you got there, what are you doing, and why are you doing it?
We're in Lafayette, Louisiana, and we're two local cousins that started Wanderlust Rentals, solving a problem of needing easy accessibility and convenience to kayak rentals.
Yeah, correct. Basically, this whole company, Wanderlust Rentals, started with the problem of one of our buddies didn't have access to a kayak. Kris and I go kayaking on the local waterways, and we're looking for places in town that would rent kayaks, and none were really doing it anymore. So we thought of why not start a kayak rental company. That has kind of exploded and gone a few different directions, from just renting kayaks, with a manned operation, having an employee 8 hours a day, to basically the whole self-service concept. So now similar to bikes and scooters that you'll see around in big cities, the Lime, the Bird scooters, that similar concept or same concept really, but now with kayaks. So yeah, it's been a long road this past year. It's been a year since we started this. So yeah, it's been a fun journey so far. And we're really, like you mentioned, we're just getting started.
Well, I mean, and going a little bit deeper, I would assume you guys have somewhat of a passion for the outdoors, right? Introverts who don't go outside don't want to get into the kayaking business. I can't imagine. What inspired you outside of the void to get into this type of business?
Freedom. we both knew that we enjoy working for ourselves and being entrepreneurial. And I know Reed actually was an engineer at one point. He didn't want to sit behind a desk. I was in construction all of my career, and I was ready for my exit from that. And we started striving for something that was more appealing to fun.
I have the benefit of knowing how you guys met. Tell us a little bit about your relationship and how you came to be business partners.
So yeah, I mean, like, funny enough, like I said, we just started this about a year ago now, and it's kind of gone through the different stages, different levels. We have our family has a family company in town, but funny enough, like none of the next generation of kids kind of went to go and work for it. And like Kris just mentioned, we both, if anybody would have went and worked for the family company, it probably would have been Kris and I, because we both have that entrepreneurial spirit, and we just don't feel like working for other people. We both have done it, so we're just kind of looking for that, just something different, not following that same beaten path sort of thing. So your personalities definitely mesh. Kris is definitely more of the creative design, social media, advertising, and marketing, and I'm more systems operated. So we definitely mesh there as well, because I have strengths and he has strengths. And then my weakness is I don't want to do, and I could care less about social media and marketing, but I know like it has to be done. It has to be done to have a successful business. 100%. I know that. I just don't enjoy that. And Kris has a passion for it. So we, I mean, I'm 30, Kris is 35, 35,
Yeah.
something like that.
Hey, you're running out of time, guys. You're getting old.
But yeah, I mean, like we really just kind of started hanging out about a year ago. I mean, we always, we've been cousins and we've been close forever now. But we've definitely gotten a lot closer over this past year by just tossing out ideas.
Funny enough, also talking about being cousins, this idea was actually a long time in the making. Although we didn't revisit it for many years. So like not long after our grandfather had passed away, and I believe the land had been inherited by Reed's mother, and me and Reed were just brainstorming one night, hanging out, and this is maybe 10 years ago or a little less, and we're brainstorming about what could we do with the property. And
Right.
we thought of with the Wiskachita canoe rentals, like T&J rentals up there. And we're like, could that be done in Lafayette? And the numbers would never make sense having a manned operation like that. Like we couldn't figure out how to make that work. And then we didn't revisit the idea for probably close to a decade, until last year when we were renovating a house on that same property. And one that summer we were working on it and just came up with the idea.
I've seen on social media, it looks like there's been some adaptations. You've had to pivot and change some launching strategies. I'm interested in the initial challenges that you saw by setting this up. What's changed and how do you think you've done overcoming those initial challenges?
One of the biggest challenges we've faced is getting orchestrating everything between a bunch of different municipalities and private landowners. So on the Bayou Vermilion, we were dealing with BVD mostly, and then we ran into the issue. Well, some of the properties not owned by them, but they're operating there, so we had to start involving and start going in front of the city and the parish. And that's just in Lafayette for the 5 locations here. So in the we expected it to go a little bit smoother, but in the meantime, we did make a pivot and started doing what we called paddle therapy, and that was actually for Reed's birthday. We went out paddling for the afternoon and came up. We just threw the idea out, like, why don't we just start doing pre-planned group events, and we can shuttle people from end to beginning, get the kayaks there, and make it a fun experience. And we've partnered with local restaurants or bars that are on the riverways that we're paddling on, able to include like a meal or something like that in their ticket price to build better value in their experience altogether.
Okay. Well, so far, how's the community responded?
I would say everybody loves the concept, and they're very supportive. Of course, like we're a new business, it's a new concept, kind of coming into town. But really, I mean, there's a couple different approaches, like with all the support and all the encouraging words. All of the small towns, the municipalities that we're in talks with on Bayou Teche, on Bayou Vermilion, all the private landowners, they all see it as a big benefit of getting, more people on the water, and then more people on the water in these small towns, like along Bayou Teche, such as your Port Barry, Leonville, Arnaville, Burbridge, New Iberia. The more people that are on the water and traveling in between these towns means that they're going to stop either before or after. They're going to go get some drinks, some food, maybe do a little shopping. So there's a lot of the positives that kind of come out of our business concept. We get people on the water, we get people in the small towns, they get more recognition in these towns and on these waterways that these people may have not known. I mean, there's so many people just in, the city and parish of Lafayette that don't know about the Vermilion Bayou that runs through from, the north to the south, and down the middle of the city of Lafayette and the parish. And if they do know about it, they think of it as, polluted. There's a lot of chemicals or just nasty items. They don't think about, how beautiful it is. The stretch between Acadiana Park and Nature Station on the Vermilion, between the Nature Station and the airport, there's barely any houses. There's barely any commercial businesses. Kris and I have paddled that countless times, and every time I'm just amazed at how beautiful it is. You don't feel like you're in the city or parish of Lafayette when you do that 4-hour paddle between Acadiana Park and the airport or Vermilionville. The scenery is absolutely gorgeous. You don't feel like you're in Lafayette. So we're happy. Everybody else is happy about getting people on the water, getting people into these small towns. We also have litter abatement, where we have a incentive program to basically, while our customers are kayaking and using our kayaks, they can, if they see trash on the water, which of course we always do, but they can go take a picture of it, pick it up, put it in their kayak, and then once they get back to land, they throw it away. They take another picture of it in the trash, and then we basically can give them a discount of some sorts on their next kayak ride.
Well, I'm thinking even the residential, because I know I'm familiar with those rivers, and there's a lot of residences sometimes on the rivers. How are they?
So every encounter we've had on the water thus far with the large groups we have brought out, the people that live on the river seem to be quite positive about it, waving, asking questions, things like that. Like nobody seems upset about it at all. And I think a lot of that goes to kind of like Reed was saying, it's getting more people out on the waterways, and then more attention that's brought to stuff like that, like as far as the existing trash or pollution problems that are out there. It's going to create more attention, more eyes are going to be on it, and it's probably going to help problems get fixed.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work to make a kayak create a wake that might damage the landowner's coastline.
It may be in the tandem. We can pick up a lot of speed with two people in a bit.
Maybe so. Now, for the benefit of the listeners, I have a pretty decent idea about the concept and how it works, but maybe talk to me about like the strategies. Like you told me it's different. It's more of a not a manned type large rental process. It's self-serve. What strategies are how are you differentiating yourself from kayak rentals in general? Because self-serve kayak rentals, that sounds complicated. Tell me about how that exactly works.
That's a great question. Do you mind if I take this one?
Go for it.
All right. So there's already self-service kayaks kiosks in Louisiana. Two particular in a pair of state parks. But the difference between what we're doing and what they have done, this is existing technology, we're not reinventing the wheel at this point. What we've changed about it is creating the Louisiana's first multi-point self-service. So
Gotcha.
everywhere they're set up right now, they're on a singular body of water, or they are on some kind of riverway that the customers are only getting point A to point A, where they're having to paddle downstream or upstream and return to the same location they rented from. Through us kind of trying to refigure out how to utilize what was at our disposal, we've created a system where we have kiosks at strategic places on the docks that are, say, the Vermilion in Lafayette, for instance, where you can have A, B, C, E, and we're working on even down to E. And you can rent at whichever one upriver that you'd like and return to the next kiosk that you'd prefer, that you'd like to stop at. So it allows a lot of freedom and flexibility to create your own adventure. And the only thing you have to worry about is the car ride after. So the other companies that have attempted to do multi-point, what they've done is they provide at the endpoint, they'll provide you with a rack to put on top of your car so the kayak can go up there and you can bring it back by car. Relock up the kayak at the next kiosk and go about their day from there. They don't have to return anything to the original location.
So you could go to the river in a Corvette. no means whatsoever to carry a large boat.
Absolutely.
Park your Corvette and paddle down the river, and down the river leave your kayak. The only problem, I guess, then would be somehow getting back to your car.
And as long as you, and that's one thing that we're going to be doing to make participants aware of prior to them making any rentals, is to make sure they know about that, to pre-plan and if it's a couple people, put a vehicle at each end, or in somewhere like Lafayette, it's really convenient just to Uber if you need to. They have Uber and Lyft and other ride sharing. Well, man, believe it or not, I was surprised. Me and my fiance went for a paddle, and I let her judgment of the map dictate our trip, and we parked all the way in New Iberia and launched out of St. Martinville. And that's a 20. I trusted her, not knowing that was a 21-mile paddle. So we ended up stopping in Laurelville and crossed our fingers, and luckily they did have an Uber out there that brought us to New Iberia.
As you're navigating through this experience, can you think of a time when things just absolutely did not go as planned?
First one, what?
Paddle therapy.
Oh yeah. Definitely a couple different situations that like have arisen that we didn't really foresee. Some in regards to the paddle therapies, as Kris is saying, these public paddles that we sell tickets to. The first one that we did, we basically were launching out of Acadiana Park, or the nature station at Acadiana Park. And there's a coulee, I think the Rock Coulee, that has like an actual kayak launch, and it's easy to get in and out of the kayak and in and out of the water. And Kris and I had actually that's a good one. Kris and I had actually gone the day before, and we're making sure that the coulee was clear of debris and branches so that we could, get from the coulee to the Vermilion River. It's just about a 10-minute paddle in that Francois coulee. We had to clear some branches. We had to get a chainsaw out there, and then we were doing a little removing of some branches that were in the waterway. But everything was good, so we're good to go. The next morning, though, the water dropped by only maybe 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches, 4 inches at most. The water dropped overnight, and that basically logs that had been under the water when we were out the day prior, they were now blocking our path. So, like the last minute, we had 20 to 30 people out there trying to launch their kayaks. We discovered that the original route is blocked, and we had to just pivot, and an hour later we got everybody in the water. It worked out, but
ended up taking them on a hike through the nature station's hiking trails to get them to the back.
More people should probably do that, right? I don't think enough people go to the nature station as it is now anyway. So it was a win-win. So you talked about the things you like, the social media and the marketing, and then the actual logistics and the metrics and stuff. How do you balance the responsibilities and like decision-making processes? It's tougher when it's 2 people than when it's 1 person, obviously. But how do you guys delegate and decide when it's the other person's time to make a decision when you're at an impasse?
Good communication and clear expectations. So one thing we did, and like that's why I've loved working with my cousin on this, is we sat down and it was his idea. We just wrote down everything that, hey, expectations on his end, expectations on my end, and there's never been an issue as far as that, because we just stay true to that. And if there's ever a deviation from it, we revisit it and tweak it if need be.
Well, let's hope I didn't just jinx that.
We have a couple of sayings. Well, we got a lot of sayings. Yeah. Kris and I talk pretty much every single day, multiple times a day. It's awesome though. I mean, we spent more time together in the past year than we have like possibly combined throughout all the other years. So, but we have a saying that like everything is figure outable. Not a word, but I heard it on a podcast once and it just stuck. So that's our mindset. That
figure outable. I like it.
But yeah. So like our mindset is that we're going to do everything that's right for the business. Kris and I, we're going all in on this company. We have other things that we're working on as well, but we're going all in on this company. So with the mindset that everything is figure outable and do what's right for the business, not what's right for possibly Kris or I at that moment that works better. Or, we go back and forth all the time, disagree, but at the end of the day, we say, hey, it's figure outable and what's best for the company. And at the end of the day, and kind of those two things kind of combined with what Kris said, definitely kind of help us, keep us going in the right direction. Of course we disagree, we play devil's advocate with each other all the time. I'm always questioning him. He's questioning me. But it's more just like not questioning, but just like we say we're talking out loud. I'll just be like, hey, Kris, like, what if this? What if that? What if this happens? Are you seeing it this point of view? And he'll do the same to me. And like, if I'm wrong, if he's wrong, it doesn't matter. We come to an agreement. Because like I said, it's not that I'm attacking him or he's attacking my ideas. We're just saying, hey, what do we need to do to get this problem solved? What's going to be best for the company in whole? It's nothing against you. So we work very well together in that aspect. So
There were some milestones. You went from this, cloudy idea 10 years ago or more to talking about it, to pivoting, to modifying the original vision. What do you think is the biggest milestone crossed?
So far, I would have to say last Monday.
Yeah.
We signed last Monday. We signed our agreements for our first two kiosk locations on Bayou Vermilion, and we're actually launching those on June 28th this month. We're having a ribbon cutting at Vermilionville. So that was like a huge culmination. It wasn't as much weight off the shoulders as I was expecting. I thought it was going to feel a lot more like a milestone whenever we hit it, but it was really just like, all right, now it's game time.
New level, new devil.
Yeah, so like the weight got a little bit heavier, but it was a good weight.
Right. Well, I mean, it'll probably get harder before it gets easier. But I think you guys have figured that out already.
That deal has been, we reached out to Bayou Vermilion District with Stephen Broussard. He's the executive director at Bayou Vermilion District, and he's helped us along this journey. He's been wonderful to work with. He's been in our corner since day one. But nonetheless, we reached out to him about 8 months ago, I want to say back in July or August. So coming up on a year, actually, is when we reached out to him initially. And since then, we've just been back and forth with him, with Bayou Vermilion District, with Vermilionville, with the lawyers, working on this agreement. So last Monday has definitely been the biggest milestone. But I can agree with Kris. It was amazing. After we took some pictures after we signed the agreement, and we stopped by our vehicles before we left Vermilionville, and we just kind of like took a breath and took it in. But it was like, okay, like what's next? Let's, we took it in and we were excited, and we knew like, hey, like we put in so much work to get to this point, but like the journey's just beginning, and we love it. I mean, we have so many big plans coming for Wanderlust when it comes to just the scalability of it and what we're going to be offering, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 5 years down the road. That we see like we're in it for the long run. So we appreciate these little milestones and these achievements that we get, but we're ready. We're rocking and rolling and enjoying the journey.
With all these little milestones that you have coming up, you're like, remember when we got excited about this?
Mm-hmm.
Remember we got excited about this? All right. So in terms of business growth, this might be more you, Kris, but what has been your most effective marketing or outreach strategy?
Social media. For certain, we've gone very heavy with the social media. So while we've worked on getting our self-service stuff up and going, we actually, other than the events that we've promoted, we had a non-existent marketing budget up till now. We're actually budgeting spend on marketing for this upcoming ribbon cutting and all, but we really got very far just by reaching out to people and doing the most we can with the connections we had. We did a lot of social media. Thanks to Reed's connections at KADN, we ended up being able to go on there quite frequently to promote events and upcoming self-service. And
very cool.
Yeah, we would join. I mean, we joined Lafayette Travel. We
That's true.
joined. We know we have connections with St. Martin Parish Tourism, and then like those particular they have websites with calendars of events for like the coming months, the coming years. So every time we put on an event, we would submit the information for to put on their calendar. So then, maybe two people see it, maybe 10 people, maybe 20 people, but we've actually had some people that came across us and they've made it to our events, purchased tickets because they saw that on the calendar of events for Lafayette Travel that they saw, oh, there's a kayak event going on. Let's go.
It'll surprise you how many people plan their week or their month or their activities on those calendars that before you got on it, you didn't even knew you might not have even known it existed. So there's a lot to those.
Oh yeah. For all the people that say there's nothing to do in Lafayette or the surrounding areas, just go to Lafayette Travel's website, go to their calendar of events, and that'll show you a lot going on in Lafayette
There's a
and
lot to do
the
in
surrounding
Lafayette.
areas.
Anybody says there's not a lot to do in Lafayette is not very familiar with Lafayette.
Yeah, but yeah, there's plenty to do. So yeah, those kind of routes, and that's we joined Lafayette Travel in the tourism industries, and it costs for that, a little bit of money, but yeah, so like basically what Kris was saying, we did a lot of things for free or for very little bit of money, kind of like the guerrilla marketing aspect, where we're just seeing what we could get, with what we had, and it turned out to be I would say a good bit. The social media, Kris has done the amazing job. I mean, the views. I mean, the views for the videos that he does, it's phenomenal in my eyes, at least. So.
For less than 6 months, we're about to hit 1,000 followers, and
But
we
without investing a whole bunch of money in paid
yeah,
ads, it's organic. That's not bad at all.
with with it just being organic, and that was honestly us teaching ourselves as we went.
All right. Well, you mentioned some of the ideas you have for down the road, 6 months, a year, 5 years. What are some of the long-term goals for the business, and how do you plan to achieve them?
Oh yeah, so like right now we are we're sitting in a room at Opportunity Machine in downtown Lafayette, small business incubator. So we joined over here recently, and we're about to go through their some of their programs that we really hope that's gonna kind of help us get to that next level. But for scaling purposes, when it comes to like the actual, we really want to scale like our physical footprint when it comes to the self-service kiosk. Basically, we want to have up and down Bayou Vermilion, upwards of 6, 7 locations. Bayou Teche as well. Basically, everywhere there is a official kayak launch, kayak dock that was installed by the Teche project that we're really close with. We've been working with Patty and been in communication with Patty Holland with the Teche project. They're very excited about what we're doing. So, but everywhere that they installed a kayak launch on Bayou Teche, from Port Barry all the way down to New Iberia, Jeanerette, Franklin area. That's where we want to have a kayak self-service kiosk, which is about all in all, I think like close to a dozen locations, all the way down to Franklin, Baldwin.
So it goes all the way down to Berwick, starting in Port Bear, and it's 135 miles total worth of a paddle trail. And I believe it comes to
Sounds like a little endurance race might be in the works.
Well, and it's cool. It's broken down into sections, and I don't know, like a lot of people don't know, but the Teche is the snake. So Miss Patty Holland and the Teche project made a very cool graphic of a snake, and it's all the different sections of it, and you fill it in as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope to eventually have kiosks on each one of those. That way, somebody can be very accessible to be able to complete the whole snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like our two main focuses when it comes on like the local waterways right now. Really, anywhere there's like either a public or a private pond where people will be allowed to go kayak. In Lafayette, there's a lot of detention ponds where newly built detention ponds where we could possibly have kiosks. Because they're trying to make walkways around some of these detention ponds, make it look like less like a pond that just holds and collects waters during storms, but more like where it's walkways.
And then also even like private landowners, we have one farmer that we're talking to is a retired farmer that has a lot of property that he does agritourism, and it's possible this fall we'll have a kayak maze similar to if you see out up north or where their corn farmers are big and they'll do the corn mazes. It'll be like that, but in a agricultural marsh full of just alligator grass and cattails, all sticking up about 4 to 5 foot off the water, and you'll be sitting on the water.
Sounds cool. That's definitely unique. That could get you some free publicity because no one's ever talked about that before, or
And
that I know of.
once it's up and going, we'll just have a kiosk there for self-service, and he wants to have it open to the public to come out. And he has a few other attractions that he'll have on his property as well. But we're still trying to iron out those things with him.
That would be very cool. That's yeah.
But that's one thing.
I can see myself absolutely getting stuck in a dead end and lost in a maze of marshes.
Pivots and all. That's one thing that we've been very conscious about. Is there's plenty of people that catered towards people that are already into kayak and hiking or anything like that out in nature. And more of our drive has been to just try to figure out creative and fun ways to incorporate what we're doing into something that'll be fun for people that have never done it, to give them a new experience and kind of help eliminate, whether it be Lafayette or any town we end up growing into, eliminate that saying, if there's nothing fun to do here, we want to help solve that problem.
Well, let anybody that's listening who's interested, how do they find out more? How do they get to know where to go? How do they get in touch with you guys? Where should they go? What should they do?
We're heavily engaged on Facebook, so if they check out Wanderlust Rentals on Facebook, they can find us there. We also have our website, WLRental.com, which actually we have it being redone. It's good. The new website should be launched this week, and it'll be a lot more user-friendly and not as simple as the one we originally started with. And the phone number's there, and also if they want to contact us via email, it's contact@WLRental.com.
All right. Well, guys, this is really cool. I'm excited that you guys got on here, and I can't wait to see as this business as it unfolds in this area, because I think it's a great thing. I think it's something that could really get a lot of traction, and there's quite a few more places. One thing we have in Louisiana is a lot of water, a lot of opportunities to do things like this. I think it's really, really great. I love that you guys are doing it. I want to see more. I can't wait to participate. So congratulations on the work so far. Keep it going. I love the momentum. I love the enthusiasm. I love the energy. Thanks again for being part of Inappropriate Growth.
Thank you for having us, Paul.
Yeah, thank you so much.